Hi everyone. So I got this question the other day. How do I multiclass on PS5? I will go ahead by demonstrating it here first, and then I go into what that means for leveling your class and such, and close the video with some tips. There will be timestamps below for easy viewing. Before I get started with the video, I am all for playing whatever you enjoy the most. Even if I mention in this guide something is not optimal, I don't necessarily mean you shouldn't do it. If you like the idea of something, even role-playing wise, like a wizard multiclassing a barbarian that gets so angry he forgets his spells and can't cast them, go for it if it fits your narrative and you have fun with something nobody should tell you otherwise. That said, let's get the video going. First, for people coming from D&D, it's good to know that in BG3 they got rid of the multiclassing prerequisites. That meant you had to have at least a 13 and a certain ability score to multiclass into something. So we have been given a lot of freedom. On top of that, respecking is really cheap at Withers, so we get a lot of freedom to change things around if you don't like something. So you can't really go wrong here. Also, if you are on Explorer mode, you cannot use this system, so you can always temporarily change the difficulty and then change it back when you are done. So the first time you could technically start with multiclassing is as soon as level 2. As you see here, when leveling, it automatically suggests the next level in the class you are currently leveling as. Now, say for example, I have my druid here and I want to take a level in barbarian. To do this, I press square and then get to pick the other class I want to add. Let's pick barbarian here. This now means I am a level 1 druid and a level 1 barbarian basically. At level 3 I can pick again, so let's say I go back to Druid here, since I just wanted Rage from the Barbarian tree, and of course the benefit of using more weapons. So I pick Druid here again. Now at level 3 I am a level 2 Druid and a level 1 Barbarian. Since in Baldur's Gate 3 we can only level to 12, and to get the highest rank spells of your class you have to purely focus on your class to reach that point. There is a little exception on this with the wizard, but more on that later. But yes, be aware as to not spread yourself too thin, since you can struggle on high level having too many lower rank spells that are less powerful. As an example, if I have a level 6 bard and a level 6 sorcerer, I have all their spells available to me up to that level. Problem is I only would get a maximum of level 3 spells for both. So I have a lot of choice at the expense of missing out on the most powerful spells. I had an idea the other day. How about I make a spore druid that goes into melee and has an animal companion? So I tried to multiclass into barbarian, druid and hunter. While the idea is pretty decent, the result was unfortunately not great, since I had at best some rank 2 spells available to me. The spread looked something like this to demonstrate it visually, although the way I ended up fixing this build was by speccing into Circle of the Moon Druid. Then I specced into Beastmaster Ranger for the animal companion, and then the remainder I put in Barbarian, in a Wild Heart Barbarian, just to be more in team. But I had like a lot of issue with the lower rank spells. But you know, if I had focused maybe more on melee, and you know, with the really powerful cantrip druids get for blunt weapons, this could be something very interesting. But yeah, something to play around with for the future. Then speaking of spells, here we have to make the difference with spell slots. While you would not get higher level spells, you would however still get the same amount of spell slots potentially. You know, these over here when opening the action wheel by pressing R1 or L1. Depending on the multiclassing combination, you can even have up to 6th level spell slots, and could sometimes still use those even if you don't have 6th level spells. There are some lower level spells that allow for an Uppcast. Even sometimes this makes them more powerful, but not always. And while speaking about spell slots progression, this can vary also depending on your multiclass choices. This involves actually a hidden stat for spellcasters called the Spellcasters Level. This is not necessarily the same as your class level. I will try to explain what that is, but basically the level of spellcaster you are determines the amount of spell slots you have available to you. I will show the spreadsheet here for a moment. There are three types of casters. We have full casters like wizards, sorcerers, bards, druids, and clerics. We have half casters like paladins and rangers. And we have third casters, the Eldritch Knights and Arcane Trickster. Half and third casters are referred to as such because they gain spell slots at a slower rate than full casters. So the basic idea is that a full caster like a wizard, while being level 12 without any multiclassing, to keep it simple for a moment, becomes a level 12 spellcaster, which is the full value given it's a full caster. That means the wizard has access to 4th, 5th and 6th level spells. Looking at this spreadsheet over here, you can see how many spell slots of each that is for a spellcaster level 12 for full casters. So the full casters, they get 4 level 1, 3 level 2, 3 level 3, 3 level 4, 2 level 5 and 1 level 6 spell slots. As for then half casters, they would be at spellcaster level 6 at max level. As you can see, they can get up to 3rd level spell slots, so 4 level 1 slots, 3 level 2 and 3 level 3 spell slots. And 1/3 casters, they would be spellcaster level 4 at maximum level and would get up to 2nd level spell slots. So that would mean 4 level 1 spell slots and 3 level 2 spell slots at max level. You may wonder why this matters. Well, it comes into play when multiclassing as well. Of course, when multiclassing full casters together, that just results in the same max spellcaster level of 12. Now, what happens if we multiclass a full caster and a half caster, a sorcerer and a paladin, for example, and we have 6 levels in sorcerer and 6 levels in paladin? We would get 6 spellcasters level from the sorcerer and 3 from the paladin. So this would land us at spellcaster level of 9, which if we look at the spreadsheet would give us 4 level 1, 3 level 2, 3 level 3, 3 level 4, 1 level 5 and no level 6 spell slots. So let's go wild here and let's say I multiclass a level 7 Eldritch Knight, a level 2 Wizard and a level 3 Paladin. So the spellcaster level would be in this case 1/3 of 7 from the Eldritch Knight, rounded down would be 2, plus 2 from the full 2 levels of Wizard, being a full caster, and half of 3, which is just 1 rounded down, so totaling at level 5 spellcaster. Let's check on the spreadsheet here, and yes, we would have 4 level 1s, 3 level 2s, 2 level 3s, and yeah, no level 4, 5 or 6 spell slots. As I mentioned briefly earlier, something I discovered is that wizards can learn higher level spells from scrolls based on their total caster level, not just their wizard level. So given I multiclass my wizard with another full caster, I can still learn the highest level wizard spells from scrolls as long as I have the spellcaster level to support the spell slots. One last thing I want to mention about spellcasters is that there are prepared and there are spontaneous casters. Prepared casters have a much larger list of spells known and can swap their spells out of combat with other spells in their known list. The amount of spells they are able to prepare scale with their primary spellcasting ability and their overall character level. Spontaneous casters will always have access to the spells they choose at level up. They can only swap out one spell each level up or by paying for a respec at withers. So when multiclassing between a spontaneous and a prepared caster, you get parts spontaneous spells you just know and don't prepare, and a selection you can't prepare, so it's a mix. Here as shown between a cleric and a sorcerer multiclass, just for demonstration purposes. So you may wonder here how to pick classes to multiclass into. It's often helpful to consider the synergies beforehand. I will link to this useful reference sheet made by Obama Del Ranana over on Reddit, so check it out over there. Like I just mentioned, a druid uses wisdom as its primary ability score for its spells, so you could look at other classes that use wisdom, like clerics for example, or for example a warlock who uses primarily charisma for its spells can look at bard, paladin or sorcerer for example. If I, however, multiclass a warlock into a wizard, this is not so optimal since the wizard uses intelligence for its spells, and you would have to spread your ability points between the two, weakening your potential. I think it's often helpful to look at your class and see if there's a point where whatever it offers on higher level is no longer useful to you. I will show you this neat spreadsheet here that you can use to decide from Reddit user Nalda Saldana, who was so kind to give me permission to use this for my video. I'll link to the Reddit post down below, check it out there. So when looking at this sheet, the first 4 columns show the proficiencies. These you get when starting out as a class. So I decide to multiclass as a wizard and a fighter, for example. It's wise to take the fighter first so you get the heavy armor. You don't necessarily adopt all the proficiencies when leveling into a class later on. It pays off to check what proficiencies you end up with on the right hand side while multiclassing. When you press the R2 trigger, you can go down this list and it previews the combination of your choices. So for example, getting heavy armor proficiency if you pick a fighter here, and the ability to use all the weapons. Then in the gray rows you have all the classes, and in between you have the subclasses for that class. As you can see, when leveling you have some things in the gray area. This means you always get this when leveling in this class, independent of your subclass choices. Then what's written in the white areas are features you get for the subclass specific. To give an example here, at level 3 Barbarian we get a rage charge and I get to pick my subclass. So let's say I go Berserker, I get a bonus action while raging, which is called Frenzy. If I reach level 10 here in the Berserker path, I get Intimidating Presence, Fear ability. Honestly, not all that useful. I would say for the Berserker we can dip into 2 levels of fighter here maybe, so we get action surge and a little self heal. I would lose my 3rd feat selection, so that would be a bit of a sacrifice. And to show you guys this quickly on this spreadsheet is that you get a feat every 4 levels, so a maximum of 3 times you can choose this, with the exception of fighter here who gets to pick a feat at level 6 as well. So while multiclassing, this would only be possible when going one class level 4 and another level 8. This is not always feasible, so it comes down to what you are willing to sacrifice. I've been talking a lot about spellcasters really, so what about multiclassing melee-oriented classes? Something to pay attention to here is the extra attacks they receive, and you don't want to miss out on getting those. At level 5, all the martial classes get one, like the monk, the barbarian, the fighter. Here at level 11, the fighter gets even 2 extra ones. It could be a good idea to multiclass into having a lot of attacks and actions, so let's do that for fun here and see what we can come up with. I was thinking here to get 7 levels in fighter with the Eldritch Knight multiclass, and 5 levels in warlock to get the extra attack after a cantrip, which Eldritch Blast is. Of course, Eldritch Knight uses wizard spells and require therefore intelligence to cast, and the warlock uses charisma for its spells. But we will try to deal our damage with melee and Eldritch Blast mainly, and I can leave my dexterity behind since I started as a fighter and wear heavy armor who does not benefit from dexterity modifier for your AC. Then also the warlock gets Pact of the Blades, which allows you to use your charisma for attack and damage rolls for your weapons, so I no longer have to worry about strength either. This leaves room for lots of charisma, constitution and some intelligence for some of the Eldritch Knight spells I might cast for fun. This is one of many ways I could have went. I could have also mixed the monk with the fighter for extra attacks, or barbarian here as well, especially the berserker who gets an extra action with frenzy would also be a good pick. Yeah, this is definitely something to play around with. What you eventually want to decide if you go full martial and don't have any spells, you want to decide whether your weapons will be finesse weapons or ranged weapons, or if you will use all other weapons, because then you either want to focus on strength or on dexterity. So to close off, I will show some footage here about this new class I created. I hope this video proved informative. I hope it was not too overwhelming in information. Please, if you have any further questions about this, drop them below in the comments. I will gladly answer them when I have some time. I thank you all for watching, please like and subscribe, and I see you all in the next video. Bye.
Frontier vidas.
Breathe deep and move. Another day, another fight.